How to claim Canadian citizenship for your child born outside of Canada. Are you a Canadian citizen with a child born in Nigeria or Ghana? Great news! Your child may already be a Canadian citizen by descent. Today, I'll walk you through everything you need to know about claiming Canadian citizenship for your child born abroad. Let us begin. Understanding Canadian citizenship by descent. Here's something many parents don't know. If you were born outside Canada to a Canadian parent, and your Canadian parent was also born outside Canada to a Canadian parent, your child may be affected by the first generation limit. But don't worry. New legislation introduced in June 2025 would extend citizenship by descent beyond the first generation based on a Canadian parent's substantial connection to Canada, demonstrated by at least 1,095 cumulative days of physical presence in Canada before their child's birth. Canadian citizenship by descent allows children born outside Canada to Canadian parents to claim their rightful citizenship. This isn't sponsorship for permanent residents. It's direct citizenship recognition for children who qualify under Canadian law. Current legal landscape, September 2025. The first generation limit that previously restricted citizenship transmission is under review following the December 2023 Bjorkquist court decision. While the current rules remain in effect until November 20th, 2025, the government has introduced interim measures in Bill C-71 to expand citizenship eligibility. Is your child born in Nigeria or Ghana eligible? First, let's determine if your child born in Nigeria or Ghana is already a Canadian citizen. Your child born in Nigeria or Ghana is automatically a Canadian citizen if at least one parent was born in Canada or naturalized as a Canadian citizen before the child's birth. Scenario 1, you were born in Canada. If you were born in Canada and your child was born in Nigeria or Ghana, your child is already a Canadian citizen by law. They just need to claim it through a citizenship certificate. Scenario 2, you were born outside Canada and naturalized in Canada. If you were born outside Canada to Canadian parents, your child faces the first generation limit. Currently, the Ontario Superior Court of Justice declared that the first generation limit for many people is unconstitutional. However, the court has suspended the declaration until November 20th, 2025. This means that the current rules still apply until further notice. Let's see two examples. For instance, Sarah was born and raised in Toronto, moved to Lagos for work, and had her daughter Jennifer there. Jennifer is a Canadian citizen by descent. Also, we have David, who was born in London to Canadian parents, moved to Accra, and had their son Kwame there. Under current rules, Kwame is not automatically a Canadian citizen due to the first generation limit. Scenario 3, you were born outside Canada, understanding the first generation limit. The first generation limit on citizenship generally means that someone is not automatically a Canadian citizen if their parent was also born outside Canada to a Canadian parent, or adopted outside Canada by a Canadian parent. Important update. On March 13, 2025, IRCC announced an expanded interim measure that includes a way for those affected by the first generation limit to be considered for a discretionary grant of citizenship from the minister, priority consideration for people born or adopted on or after December 19, 2023, if their Canadian parent has a substantial connection to Canada. Under current rules until November 20, 2025, children born abroad to Canadian parents who were also born abroad face the first generation limit. However, Bill C-71 introduces a substantial connection test requiring the Canadian parent to have spent at least 1,095 days, 3 years in Canada, before the child's birth. Step-by-step process to claim your child's Canadian citizenship. Whether your child is automatically a citizen or applying through the interim measure, you'll need to apply for a citizenship certificate to prove their status. Determine your application route. If your child is automatically a citizen, apply for a citizenship certificate, and if affected by the first generation limit, apply through the interim measure. Step 1. Confirm eligibility. Before applying, verify that you were a Canadian citizen when your child was born. You have proof of your Canadian citizenship, birth certificate or citizenship certificate, and your child has never renounced Canadian citizenship. Step 2. Gather required documents. Core documents required are a completed application form, the child's original birth certificate from Nigeria or Ghana showing both parents' names, your proof of Canadian citizenship, Canadian birth certificate if born in Canada, or a Canadian citizenship certificate if naturalized. You will also need 2 passport-style photos of your child meeting IRCC specifications, a copy of your child's Nigerian or Ghanaian passport biodata page, and proof of legal custody or guardianship. Let us briefly talk about Nigerian and Ghanaian specific considerations. Birth certificates from Nigeria must show indigenous community ties if claiming Nigerian documentation. Ghana requires specific documentation for dual citizenship applications if your child will maintain Ghanaian citizenship. Step 3. Complete application form. Since your child is under 18 years, you, as the parent, must complete and sign the application. The form requires the child's biographical information, details about both parents, citizenship history, and current residence information. Step 4. Pay the application fee. The citizenship certificate fee is payable online through the IRCC website. Step 5. Submit your application. Mail your complete application package to the Case Processing Center in Sydney. It is always a good idea to use registered mail with tracking to ensure delivery confirmation. Step 6. Processing time. Current processing times range from 5 to 9 months. Priority processing is available for children born after December 19, 2023, if parents can demonstrate a substantial connection to Canada. Now, let us talk about living in Canada versus living abroad during the application. If you're in Canada, you can visit your child in Nigeria or Ghana during processing. You can apply for a temporary resident visa for your child to visit during the wait time. If you're living in Nigeria or Ghana, you can submit an application from abroad, and you may use the Canadian Embassy or Consulate for document certification. You can also consider applying for your child's temporary resident visa for visits to Canada. Temporary options while waiting for citizenship certificate. While your child's citizenship application is processing, consider these temporary options for them to visit or live in Canada. A visitor visa, temporary resident visa, allows visits up to 6 months. There are multiple entry visas available for Nigerian and Ghanaian citizens. Your child can apply for a visitor visa to come to Canada while their citizenship application is being processed. Required documents include the child's passport, birth certificate, parent status in Canada, letter of invitation, and proof of ties to Nigeria or Ghana. That is, your child must show ties to their home country and intention to return. Study permit. If your child needs to start school in Canada before citizenship is confirmed, a study permit issued for the duration of their studies can help to transition directly to citizenship once approved. Bear in mind that the current rules for a study permit require a letter of acceptance from a Canadian school. Extended family visit. Once your child is in Canada as a visitor, they can apply for a visitor record to extend their stay beyond 6 months. It is important that they apply before the initial status expires. This allows the child to remain with you while waiting for their citizenship certificate. Documentation and special considerations for Nigerian and Ghanaian. For those in Nigeria, the Nigerian birth certificates must clearly show both parents' names. The hospital birth records may be required as supplementary evidence. The National Population Commission certificates are preferred, and remember to include affidavits if birth registration was delayed. For those in Ghana, the Ghanaian birth certificates require the Births and Deaths Registry certificates and must be certified by the Ghana High Commission in Ottawa or the Consulate in Toronto. Remember to include both short and long-form certificates if available. What happens after approval? Once approved, your child receives the Canadian Citizenship Certificate, proof of citizenship, which gives them the eligibility to apply for a Canadian passport. It also gives them the right to enter and remain in Canada without immigration restrictions and to access all the benefits of Canadian citizenship. A Canadian citizenship also gives them the ability to pass citizenship to their future children, subject to the substantial connection test under Bill C-71. Let us talk about the common pitfalls to avoid during your application. Incomplete documentation, missing documents delay processing, poor quality photos. The passport photos must meet exact IRCC specifications. Incorrect forms using outdated forms causes rejection. Missing consent. Other parents' consent documentation is crucial. Let us move to the changes coming with Bill C-71. Bill C-71, introduced June 5, 2025, will significantly expand citizenship eligibility. It removes the first-generation limit for those with substantial connections to Canada. It also retroactively restores citizenship to those previously excluded. It requires 1,095 days of physical presence in Canada for parents born abroad, and the expected implementation is after November 20th, 2025. Now, what if the first-generation limit applies to your child? If your child doesn't automatically qualify, you have the following options. Option 1. Interim measure. This means IRCC will review your situation and decide whether to grant you citizenship. If you were born on or after December 19, 2023, they will also ask you to explain your parents' connection to Canada. If the connection is substantial, IRCC will prioritize your application. Option 2. Wait for legislative changes. You can wait until the first-generation limit no longer applies before applying for a certificate. By that time, you may be a Canadian citizen because of this change. Option 3. Sponsor for PR. If citizenship isn't possible for your child, you can sponsor them for permanent residence and they can apply for citizenship after living in Canada. In summary, Canadian citizens can claim citizenship for their children born in Nigeria or Ghana through the citizenship by descent process. This direct path to citizenship requires proper documentation, understanding of eligibility criteria, and careful application preparation. With Bill C-71 expanding eligibility and processing times of 5 to 9 months, now is the ideal time to secure your child's Canadian citizenship. Securing Canadian citizenship for your child born in Nigeria or Ghana is more than just paperwork. It's about giving them opportunities and connections to Canada that will last a lifetime. While the rules can be complex, especially with the first-generation limit, there are pathways available for most families. Remember, immigration law is constantly evolving. Bill C-71 will restore citizenship to the remaining lost Canadians, their descendants, and anyone born abroad to a Canadian parent in the second or subsequent generation before the legislation comes into force. This includes people who lost their citizenship as a result of requirements under the former Section 8 of the Citizenship Act. Don't navigate this complex process alone. Contact Chugo Immigration today for expert guidance on your child's citizenship application. Our experienced team specializes in citizenship by descent cases and can help you to determine your child's eligibility, prepare a complete application, navigate the interim measures, and explore all available options. Whether your child qualifies automatically or needs special consideration, we'll find the best path forward for your family. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share with other Canadian parents abroad. Your questions in the comments help us create more helpful content. Thanks for watching.